Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. So today I ranked every brawler in the game from worst to best. I gave them a score from 1 to 10 in all the different 3v3 modes, so I feel like this list is really accurate. Of course, make sure you're subscribed. Big shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, but more on that later. Let's get right into it. So coming in at number 54, we have Brock. So Brock's best game modes were actually in Heist and Bounty, where he got a 5 and 6. Apart from that, Brock just really struggles. The shots really slow, really hard to hit, and Brock is not great right now. So at number 53 then we have Bull. So Bull is of course very good in Heist, where he did get an A. Apart from that, he got really low rankings because he's just not great right now. Okay, at number 52 then we have Jessie. So Jessie's best mode for me was Gem Grab, where she got a 7. Apart from that, Jessie does struggle to find a good game mode. She is a really good counter to Pam, but apart from that, Jessie struggles. At number 51 we have Nita. So Nita is a great counter to Daryl. Actually got an 8 in Brawl, but apart from that, Nita really struggles in the modes like Bounty, Knockout, Hot Zone, and Siege. So that's why Nita is bad, even though Nita is really good in Brawl, pretty good in Heist, and okay in Gem Grab. At number 50 then we have Lou. So Lou's actually pretty decent in Siege and Hot Zone, but apart from that, Lou gets really bad rankings in Bounty, Knockout, and a couple other modes. At number 49 then we have Bo. So Bo is of course amazing on Snake Prairie, but apart from that, you really don't see a ton of Bo. Yes, he's okay on a few maps. That's why he's got a pretty average ranking across the board, but apart from that, you don't see a ton of Bo. At number 48 then we have Jackie. So Jackie's highest mode was in Brawl, where she got a 7. She also got a 6 in Siege, but apart from that, the rankings were pretty bad because Jackie is not the best tank right now. At number 47 then we have Mr. P. So Mr. P is definitely pretty decent across the board, but just really weak to tanks, and especially with a lot more people playing draft now, I feel like people are just going to pick throwers over Mr. P because they are just genuinely better most of the time than just picking Mr. P. So I feel like Mr. P is only really good when countering certain brawlers like Jean. And yeah, Mr. P, just not the best right now. At number 46, we have Griff. So Griff is pretty decent on Siege, Heist, Hot Zone, Brawl. But apart from that, Griff's obviously going to be pretty bad on like Bounty, Knockout. Really good against tanks. But yeah, I feel like Griff is just decent right now. So at number 45, we have Colette. Colette is definitely a bit of a one-trick pony. Amazing in Heist, and not really good anywhere else. So yeah, that's why Colette is this low. At number 44, then, we have El Primo. So Primo is definitely pretty solid. Gave him a 7 in Brawl. Pretty good in like the short range Hot Zone maps. Kind of need to be against a good matchup like a Frank or something like that. If you pair him with like an aggressive brawler and a healer, he's also going to be very good as well. At number 43, we have Penny. So Penny got a lot of 5s. Honestly, okay in like Gem Grab, Siege, Bounty, Hot Zone, Knockout, but not insane. If you're thinking about going Penny, it's most likely that a thrower will just be a better option anyway. But Penny, I guess, is good against like a Ruffs and Tara, but apart from that, not really too many good matchups for Penny. Okay, at number 42 then we have 8-Bit. So 8-Bit's best mode for me was Gem Grab, where he got an 8. He really struggles in Bounty and Knockout because of that slow speed, but is definitely pretty average in the rest of the game modes. At number 41 we have Edgar. So Edgar, again, a bit like Colette, a one-trick pony. Amazing in Heist, but definitely not too insane in any other mode, really. At number 40, we have Colt. So Colt is amazing in Heist, especially those mid to long range maps. But apart from that, I feel like Colt doesn't have any other modes where he's like insane. He's okay on Hot Zone, he's okay on Siege, and also pretty good in Brawl, but apart from that, he's not insane. So at number 39 we have Nani. Nani is really good in Heist and Bounty. Of course, on Heist, only good on those medium to long range maps, but is absolutely amazing on those medium to long range maps. Of course, pretty okay in Knockout as well. At number 38 we have Dynamite. Dynamite is of course pretty solid on those kind of close range maps, but particularly in Siege and Heist. Also pretty solid in Brawl as well. So yeah, Dyna, basically just like a worse version of Barley. So at number 37 then we have Tick. So Tick is amazing in Bounty. I gave him a 9 there and also an 8 in Knockout. But apart from that, I felt like the other modes, Tick just doesn't really get used at all because he's just not very good. At number 36 then we have Squeak. So Squeak is pretty okay across the board. His best mode for me was Hot Zone, where I gave him a 7. He doesn't really have like an insanely strong mode, but he's definitely pretty average across the different modes. At number 35, then we have Ash. So Ash has definitely got a lot better due to some recent changes, and I feel like he's definitely a lot more usable. I gave him an 8 in Brawl Ball and a 7 in Gem Grab. Most of the other modes were like 6 and below because he's not very good in them. But I feel like, yeah, Ash is definitely pretty usable now and is a pretty decent lane. At number 34, then we have Shelly. So Shelly actually pretty high. I feel like, especially with draft, and it just makes Shelly even better because you can pick Shelly last pick if they pick even 1 tank, and especially if they pick 2. And Shelly's gonna be pretty solid on grassy maps anyway, like Hard Rock Mine, like Gem 4, like Sneaky Field. So Shelly's best mode for me was Brawl Ball, where I gave her an 8 out of 10. Apart from that, the rankings were like pretty average. They weren't like insane, just because if someone does pick a lot of tanks, you can pick that Shelly, and it's gonna be really, really good. So at number 33, we have BB. So BB got a 7 from me in Siege, Heist, and Brawl Ball, and those were her best modes. Apart from that, you can definitely use BB in like any mode with a tank and a healer, but I definitely feel like these are BB's best modes. So at number 32, we have Ruffs. So for me, Ruff's best mode was actually Knockout, because it's really slow paced, and especially if you use that hero star power, you can definitely take advantage of that in a slow game mode like Bounty or Knockout. But yeah, I definitely feel like Ruffs is okay, but kind of easy to counter, but definitely pretty okay across the board, I would say. So at number 31, we have Poco. So Poco's best game modes for me were Brawl Ball and Hot Zone, where I gave him an 8 in both of them. Still very, very good in Gem Grab though, as a mid. Of course, very, very good when paired with something like a Daryl or any kind of aggressive brawler. At number 30, we have Frank. So Frank, of course, pretty solid right now. Nothing too insane, but obviously when you have that much HP, there's always going to be a use. So Frank's best game mode for me was Brawl Ball, where I gave him an 8. Of course, you can use him on Siege, on Hot Zone, on kind of anything, as long as you have the right comp, of course, because he does have a ton of HP, and especially if you pair that with a healer, he's gonna be very, very good, depending, of course, on the enemy comp. Okay, so at number 29, then we have Mortis. So Mortis's best game modes for me, well, his best game mode was Siege, where I gave him an 8. He's just so good at getting that first bolt, which is so important in Siege. Of course, there's a lot of throwers in Siege as well, so Mortis does very, very well in Siege. Apart from that, I feel like Mortis is definitely struggling with the likes of Daryl being really good in the meta, because I feel like there's always an easy counter to Mortis. But yeah, there are a few occasions when you can pull out the Mortis against those weaker brawlers and throwers, and of course when you're playing him with other aggressive brawlers like Daryls and Pocos and stuff like that. At number 28, then we have Rosa. So Rosa is absolutely amazing in Gem Grab and Brawl Ball, where I gave her an 8 out of 10 in both of those modes, particularly because there seems to be a lot of grass in Gem Grab maps right now, and also Brawl Ball maps like Sneaky Fields, where Rosa is just absolutely amazing on, and you can actually counter brawlers like Daryl, like Fang with Rosa. So I just feel like Rosa is definitely a pretty underrated pick right now. Okay, so at number 27, then we have Amber. So I actually gave Amber an 8 in Gem Grab, which was actually her best rating. A couple of 7s as well, a couple of lower ratings, especially in like the bounties, but I definitely feel like Amber's a pretty good counter to brawlers like Rosa. Also can deal well with a lot of lanes like Tara, Ems, brawlers like this. So I definitely feel like Amber is definitely a pretty safe pick most of the time. At number 26, we have the recently buffed Carl, who I definitely feel like has definitely improved a lot due to that recent buff. I actually gave him a 7 in both Gem Grab and Brawl Ball. I feel like he can definitely beat a lot of the more common lanes we see, like Ems, like Tara, like Sandy, or definitely at least can have like a good chance against them. Of course, he did get some okay rankings in Siege because he can get the first Siege bolt, and was okay in some heist maps, some hot zone maps. Not too good in bounty, but still okay and usable there. Okay, so at number 25, we have Sandy. So Sandy actually got a 9 in Brawl Ball, an 8 in Gem Grab, got a 2 in bounty, because of course Sandy is not really usable in bounty at all, and some pretty average scores amongst the other modes. But Sandy, yeah, definitely a really, really good lane right now. Okay, at number 24, we have Max. So Max's best mode for me was Brawl Ball, where she picked up an 8. Max is so good when you pair her with brawlers like Ems, Sandy, Tara, Tara, Jean, any of these brawlers that can kind of work with his speed, even aggressive brawlers like Buzz, Daryl, Rosa, those kind of brawlers as well. But yeah, Mac's definitely really good across all of the different modes. At number 23 then we have Buzz. So Buzz is of course one of the best aggressive brawlers to play right now. Really good in Siege, also really good in Brawl Ball. Pretty decent in Knockout as well, and a few other modes. At number 22 then we have Gale. Gale is definitely a pretty surprising one, probably for most people, but Gale is really good against tanks, especially like the Daryls, the Buzzes, stuff like that. So Gale is actually really good in Brawl Ball, pretty good in Siege, also pretty solid in a hot zone as well. Of course, not too good in Bounty, but okay in Knockout, and okay in Gem Grab as well. At number 21, we have Surge. Surge is one of the most well-rounded brawlers in the game. Definitely doesn't have too many bad matchups, and is definitely really good in every single game mode except for Bounty. His best mode for me being Brawl Ball, where I gave him an 8. Okay, so at number 20, we have Sprout. So this one definitely surprised me because I don't think of Sprout as one of the best throwers, but he is definitely one of the best well-rounded throwers. Because he is good in pretty much every single game mode. Really good in Siege, of course, because of those walls allowing you to defend really well, especially if you're using the correct gadget. And yeah, I definitely feel like Sprout not as good as like a Tick in things like Bounty or Knockout, but definitely better in those other modes and just more well-rounded. At number 19, we have Ems. So Ems is one of the best lanes you can go right now. I actually gave her a 9 in Brawl Ball. Of course, Ems' worst mode, Bounty, definitely didn't help on this ranking because it actually did bring her down quite a bit because she is awful in Bounty. But every other mode, I'd say, except Knockout, where she got a 4, was like 8s, 7s, and 9s. So yeah, apart from Bounty and Knockout, Ems is so good. At number 18, we have Crow. So Crow is definitely one of the most well-rounded brawlers right now. Good in so many different modes. Got an 8 in both Brawl Ball and Hot Zone because he's really solid there. Of course, his worst mode is going to be Bounty, where I actually gave him a 2 because yeah, Crow is pretty bad in Bounty, but apart from that, he is a really solid option. Okay, at number 17 then we have Meg. So Meg is of course really good when paired with something like a Byron, especially in Hot Zone, where Meg actually got a 9 because yeah, Meg has a ton of HP obviously when you get that super, and when you don't, you actually have the heals. If you're playing like a Byron with that shield star power, is going to be really good. Also got some pretty good scores in Gem Grab, Brawl Ball, Heist, and Knockout, and also Siege. So Meg definitely pretty well-rounded. At number 16 then we have Tara. So of course you guys know I am a very strong Tara. Supes actually sent me an award for being the best Tara in the game, as you can see there. Very nice. Big shout out to Supes for that. Tara's best mode though was actually Brawl Ball, where she did get a 9. Also very good on pretty much every single mode, even usable on Heist, but not so good on Siege and Bounty. Of course, it's still good on Snake Prairie though, but that is only one Bounty map. Tara, one of the best lanes in the game, and definitely a super strong brawler right now. At number 15 then we have Rico. Now Rico has got 2 nerfs in the recent balance changes to his heal gadget. So the first one was to knock it down from 300 to 250, and then in the recent changes it was changed to 200. This essentially means it's a lot harder to heal up to max HP if you are weak, and it's definitely affected Rico. As I said, it's much harder to heal up to full HP. You generally have to kind of hit 3 walls now in order, or like 3 bounces in order to kind of heal up to max. That used to be kind of 2. So yeah, this change definitely affecting Rico quite a bit, making that gadget quite a bit worse. But Rico's still very good in Gem Grab, in Heist, pretty solid in a lot of Hot Zone and Knockout as well. So Rico still doing very well, but that gadget nerf has definitely hit him quite a bit. Okay, at number 14 we have one of my favorite brawlers in the game, and the second best thrower right now, we have Barley. So yeah, I feel like Barley's definitely pretty solid right now. Highest rating was in Siege, where he did get a 9 because he's absolutely insane in Siege, because most of the maps, or pretty much every map, you can play him on, even the longer range ones, and he's really good there. Got some good points in like Brawl Ball, in Heist as well. And I definitely feel like Barley is very strong right now, and in a very good place. At number 13 then we have B. This one a little bit surprising for me, but I think it's just because B is so well-rounded, because you can play B on every single mode. Just because any mid to long range map B is going to be usable in, and that includes like Heist and Siege on those more open maps where B did actually pick up 6s. Also very usable on Hot Zone, Brawl Ball, and just a really good counter to tanks in general. At number 12, then we have Lola. So Lola, of course, has been nerfed, so you can't use that super right on top of you because you are going to deal less damage, but it is still easier just most of the time to use that and just get that 50% extra damage that super does bring. Of course, Lola, really well-rounded, but in particular, Lola is good in Brawl Ball and both Hot Zone, not so good in Bounty, and pretty average in the rest of the modes. Okay, coming in at number 11, then we have Stu. So Stu, again, one of those brawlers that's really well-rounded, and one of his biggest counters was Tara, and Tara's gadgets got nerfed to essentially where you can one-shot all of them, and it basically means Stu is even more in the meta, and it's so hard to counter Stu, that Stu is so well-rounded against every matchup that it makes like such a safe pick for draft. So Stu's worst mode was Bounty, where he did get a 4, and his best mode was Brawl Ball, where he got an 8. So I definitely felt like Stu is one of the most well-rounded and just safe brawlers in the game. So starting off the top 10 then with Jean. So Jean has fallen a few places since the last list. I definitely feel like you see quite a bit less Jean. That may be because I'm not playing too much Siege, but Jean definitely still is very good in Siege. Does pick up an 8 there, also an 8 in Gem Grab, and 8 in Knockout. Of course, the lowest mode for Jean is going to be in Heist, where he did pick up a 3, because obviously Jean's not the best in Heist, but still usable. And yeah, I feel like Jean's still pretty strong, but does, like, I don't know, not as good as the mids like Byron and Pam. Okay, then coming in at number 9, we have Pam. So as I was mentioning, I feel like Pam is just better than Jean in pretty much every way. Of course, Pam doesn't have that pull, but as a mid, you need someone with a lot of HP, the ability to heal, good damage, good HP. Pam just does it all. So Pam's best mode was Gem Grab, where she did pick up a 9. Pretty much good across all game modes. I put with the exception of Bounty, because you don't see too much Pam on Bounty. Although Pam is not like awful, you can still play Pam on Bounty for sure. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of modes you can play Pam, and Pam again doesn't really have many bad matchups. I would say the worst one being Jessie, but apart from that, Pam is amazing. Okay, at number 8 then we have Spike. So Spike, I know I keep saying this, but Spike is really well-rounded, and a lot of these brawlers, to get this high score, you kind of have to be well-rounded. You can't be like amazing in one game mode and then like rubbish in the other 5. But yeah, Spike got 8s and 7s in every single game mode except for Bounty, where he obviously does struggle. But apart from Bounty, Spike is amazing. At number 7 then we have Piper. So this one definitely surprised me a little bit, but if you think about it, so Piper basically got above a 5 in every single mode. A lot of 7s, really well-rounded, because every single mode has long-range maps where Piper is one of the best picks. If you look at Heist, you have Bridge Too Far, you have Safe Zone. If you're looking at Gem Grab, you have like Hard Rock Mine, you have Minecart Madness, you have a few other maps as well. So I feel like every single mode Piper is good in, and obviously Piper is still going to be very good in modes like Knockout, modes like Bounty. So Piper, again, really well-rounded. At number 6 then we have the latest brawler in the game. We have Fang. So Fang is the second best aggressive brawler on this list. So yeah, Fang really solid across all the game modes, and especially good in like Heist and Hot Zone, where people tend to like group around. Of course, in Hot Zone, if people group around the zone, you can just super them and it's going to chain off all of them. Whereas in Heist, people, they generally kind of, I guess, just group around like the safe. Then you could just super the safe and it's going to bounce off all of them. So Fang, definitely really good. Really, in particular, against like squishier brawlers that you can kill easy and get your super back. Okay, so coming in at number 5, then we have Byron. Of course, Byron, again, just so well-rounded. Literally picking up above the 6 in every single mode. So good in Siege and Heist, because again in Heist there's long range maps like Safe Zone, like a Bridge Too Far, where you can definitely use Byron with a lot of success. Of course, Byron's still gonna be good in those modes like Knockout, like Bounty, like Gem Grab, Brawl Ball. So yeah, Byron really good, especially when paired with aggressive brawlers like Fang and Daryl, which are very good right now. And I definitely feel like Byron is just such a solid pick. So coming in at number 4, then we have Leon. Now this one actually even surprised me a little bit, that Leon is this high. But when I looked at the numbers, kind of makes sense. Leon is really good in like Knockout, Brawl Ball, Bounty, every single mode really, with the exception of Heist. I would say you don't really see any Leon whatsoever. But yeah, Leon definitely really solid across like Brawl Ball, Gem Grab, Bounty, Knockout, like even Siege on those long range maps, and of course on Hot Zone as well. So yeah, Leon again doesn't really have too many counters. It's going to be a very safe pick, especially when you're playing draft. So coming in at number 3, we have Bell. So Bell's worst mode was, of course, Brawl. I feel like there's a few maps where you can play Bell mid, but of course she's still got a 6 there, so still pretty usable, just not insane. Her best modes were actually Bounty and Knockout, where she did pick up 9s, but the other modes were basically like 8s and 7s. Bell, probably one of the best and safest like long range to mid range brawlers in the game that you can play. Okay, so coming in at number 2 then, these top 2 brawlers only separated by literally 1 point. And if I made this a video like 2 weeks ago before the balance changes, Grom would have definitely been number 1, but now Grom is at number 2 just because it's a little bit easier to counter him now with the likes of Daryl and Fang and brawlers like that. But I definitely still feel like Grom is so good. Grom got above a 7 in every single mode, with his best modes being Bounty and Gem Grab, where I feel like he really does thrive. But of course he is super well-rounded, and it's definitely pretty hard to counter him even with the nerf. That means, of course, coming in at number 1, we have Daryl. So Daryl is insanely goated right now. If you haven't played Daryl, make sure you play him because he is so good. His worst mode for me was Bounty. I say worst, but he still got a 7 there. Across the other modes, he received 8s and 9s, with his best mode of course being Brawl, because he is exceptional in Brawl, and it's very hard to counter him even with the likes of Shelly. But yeah, I definitely feel like Daryl deserves this top spot. He is just so strong right now, and he can definitely carry if you know what you're doing. That's gonna wrap it up for the tier list. Once again, a huge shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace gives people a powerful and beautiful online platform from which to create your website. You can connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated members only content. You can manage your members, send emails, and leverage audience insights all in one super easy to use platform. It's so easy to create a community on a Squarespace website, especially when you use their powerful blogging tools, which allow you to categorize, share, and schedule your posts. Squarespace extensions can help you manage inventory, promote products, streamline bookkeeping, and ship items across the globe. And you can also display all of your posts from your social media onto your Squarespace website in one place, which I absolutely love. So go to squarespace.com and start your free trial now. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/TomBrawlstars to get 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. Once again, a huge shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.